Hey guys, welcome back to Sherlock Holmes Chapter 1. We're here just outside of the police station and we've got another case. This one is what was did in the shadows. Two men were found dead near an open grave at the cemetery. Both victims had bite marks on their necks. Okay, so we've got the victims, John Bowden, the graveyard keeper, and Sayed Hafez, assistant professor. And then the suspects, Hamil Aki, a tanner, and Camille Aki, deceased, reportedly a vampire. I've got some witnesses there. Evidence points to the possible involvement of supernatural forces. Case is pending further investigation. Okay, so let's listen to the reporter's testimony. I've always had a nose for a good story. I was strolling about the cemetery when I saw him, the necromancer. I'm not joking. He raised a woman from the grave and ordered her to attack the two men who were close by. Then they both turned into bats and flew away. I was too scared to take photographs of them, but I photographed their victims. This will be a front pager. The Vagrant's testimony. I was having my supper when Johnny came to dig another grave. As usual, there was someone else with him too. I must have dozed off for a while, but when I woke up, everything was a blur. Screaming, howling, then flashes of lightning, but no thunder. Some devilry was at work. I came out to see what was happening, and then there was this reporter, Leonard or something. He told me that a vampire had killed two people. Mere yards from me. Boy, am I lucky to be alive. The suspect notes Hamil Aki is the brother of the recently deceased Camille Aki. We tried to make him talk, but he's a hard nut to crack. His neighbours saw him leaving his house to put flowers on his sister's grave. They say he returned at dawn looking dirty and tired. P.S. Just in case, we also made him eat garlic. No reaction. Okay, and the two victims there, which we'll look at in a second. For now, we're going to head over to the back to the cemetery. So let's fast travel down. I think there's another entrance to the cemetery as well around here. Why am I walking slowly? Yeah, we can just head up here. Okay, around an empty grave. So there's the flowers from the guy who was apparently going to visit his, I think it's his sister.
The flowers are still fresh.
Point number one, I guess we'll start here. See if there's anything else around. Do you have anything to say, John?
Shouldn't we have brought some wooden stakes with us? Or at least garlic?
This is a somewhat neglected and dusty hat. The stone is rather unwieldy, so it couldn't be used as a weapon. Someone fell and hit their head on it.
We're dealing with a very immoderate bloodsucker here.
Okay. Well, let's actually take a look at the victims. Victim number one, John Bowden, 37 years old, gravekeeper. Blunt force injury to the head. 2 puncture wounds to the neck. Cause of death, massive blood loss from the carotid artery. Blunt force injury to the head. 2 puncture wounds to the neck. Victim 2, Sayed Hafez, 56-year-old assistant professor at Cordona Medical College. Slight cut to the leg. Blunt force trauma to the head. 2 puncture wounds to the neck. Major vessels intact. Blood loss minimal. Okay, so victim 2, the professor, was killed by trauma to the head. First victim was killed. Blood loss. Okay, let's keep going, see if we can figure this out. It's point number 3. Point number 2.
Nicely roasted.
I wonder how even the most destitute always somehow manage to scrape together enough for a drink.
Mushrooms?
Psilocybin mushrooms. These are powerful hallucinogens.
Okay, so this must be the Vagrant's place. So this is where he witnessed the events.
This must be the Vagrant shelter. Quite homely, if you don't mind sleeping next to the corpses.
Okay. So point number 2, we have the open grave. Let's take a look around.
The label is illegible.
We've run out of fresh cadavers for dissection. You know what to do, Professor Shelley. Okay, so we have the motive there. Looks like the professor wanted another body to dissect. Maybe they came up with this elaborate scheme to make it look like there was a vampire.
Looks like a set of surgical instruments. One is missing.
The one missing looks like a knife as well, so that could be used to puncture somebody's neck.
It's not very polite to just drop in on someone unannounced.
Okay, another hat.
An expensive hat with a few grey hairs stuck to the brim.
An expensive hat.
Someone tore their trousers here.
So someone did have a scratch on their leg. Graveyard keeper, no. Slight cut to the leg. So this is the professor was killed here. Cranial hemorrhage. Okay, so the nice hat plus the scratch on the leg is here. It seems to be this is where the professor fell. Then down here, a dirty hat. That must be the graveyard keeper. He must have died there. Point number 4. Is this one of the murder weapons?
The blade is bent from the impact. The bleeding wasn't severe, there are just a few drops.
Okay, is there another point? This is the end of the police line here. We do have that the bottle, so let's go and check that out. Let's read what we've discovered. Crumpled note: we've run out of fresh cadavers for dissection. You know what to do, Professor Shelley. Okay, around an empty grave. I've located the empty grave at the cemetery. Upon examination of the scene, I found a shovel with a bent blade and a few drops of blood nearby. A set of surgical instruments, one is missing. The vagrant supper of hallucinogenic mushrooms. A dirty hat near a blood-stained stone. A pool of blood nearby. An expensive hat with a few grey hairs and a piece of torn fabric on a root. Then we have the bottle of clear liquid. Contains a clear liquid with a repulsive smell. The label is damaged. Let's do some chemical analysis on this. Okay, slightly more difficult than the previous one, but we've got 3 and 5. Let's drop it into there. Still very easy. Let's drop that into there. That into there. 3 minus 5, 4. That should do it. Success! It is formalin, which is used for embalming corpses. Okay, so we can try to piece this together now. Let's see how we do. Alright, John, it's your turn. So we know that somebody was arriving here with the flowers. Let's just have a look at the options. We've got the guy with the hat with the formalin. Must be a professor. Then the photographer. Okay. So he brought in the flowers, dropped them down there when he saw what was going on. This is the graveyard keeper. That's the photographer. It's possible the photographer was setting up the scene for the story. Otherwise it was the zombie. I don't think it was the zombie. Yeah, I don't think it was this guy who was bringing the flowers. The bald man. He probably just bumped into these professors, or the professor trying to steal the body. Right, so this, I believe, is the professor. Does the professor have the hat? It's a little bit harder in this scenario to figure out who is who. Yeah, the professor has the hat. Okay. So he had the flowers. Now, there was a lot of blood in this scene, so it's possible it was the photographer and he didn't know what he was doing. But what happened up here? Now this is the nice hat. So the professor is there, I assume. He's picking out his scalpel. I don't think it was him raising the dead. It was him getting ready to embalm the body. Let's see what other choice there is. It's just those two. Okay. Actually, three. Okay, he's embalming the body, grabbing the scalpel. Somebody whacked him on the head. Not the zombie. Graveyard keeper. He is the guy who's bringing the flowers. I think it's the brother. Maybe he got upset about him trying to steal the body, and so he whacked him on the head. He died over here, and they then got bitten by a vampire. No, let's. He wouldn't have stabbed him in the neck, though. Alright, let's see what happens here.
You're not even trying.
Not even trying?
Sherry.
No, I've gotten this wrong.
Concentrate.
What have I messed up here? Yeah, this case is quite a bit more difficult. Brought in the flowers. It's not him. Okay, so I'm pretty sure this is right. It's just... Wait, how many options are there? We do have 4 options. This is not the professor, is it? It's the graveyard keeper. Okay, I think that's right. Let's have a look up here and see. Yeah, the professor has that kind of a hat. Oh, this is wrong, I think. This is not the professor. That's not the professor. That's the photographer. Well, maybe the photographer did grab the scalpel from here. Yeah, so we'll try this. The photographer picked up the knife after he tried to steal the body and then was killed by this guy. And then he tried to make it look like there was a vampire here for his story. Try to validate this.
The brother
Yes.
of the deceased became furious when he caught the anatomist exhuming his sister's body. He killed him with a shovel. The graveyard keeper took to his heels, but didn't get far. He fell, hitting his head on a stone, which rendered him unconscious. With the murderer gone, the reporter who was hiding punctured the neck of the first victim to imitate a bite. But when he did the same to the second victim, he killed an unconscious man. So we have 2 murders and 2 murderers, but no vampires.
Vampires are not so scary when you have grave robbers and journalists running around.
Okay, so it was the photographer who killed them. Well, the brother killed the one guy, the professor, who was trying to steal the body, and then the photographer placed the puncture wounds to make it look like there was a vampire for his story. Let's head on back to the police station, give our report. And then I do think there's one more notice hanging on the board. Let's take a look at this. There are 2 murders and 2 murderers. The first murder was committed by Hamil Aki when he caught the anatomist exhuming his sister's body. He became furious and killed him with a shovel. The second murderer is Leandro Barbieri. In his attempt to fabricate a story of vampires, he killed the unconscious graveyard keeper. Okay.
Constable Stark, do you believe in vampires?
Hey? What do vampires have to do with anything?
Oh, that's exactly what I thought while looking into the murders at the cemetery. The primary suspect is indeed the murderer, but he's not the only one. The reporter, who so easily fooled everyone with his vampire stories, killed the other victim.
But why would he do that?
He believed the unconscious man to be dead and decided to concoct a thrilling story for his readers.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Holmes. I'll have the conniving little scrub taken in immediately. There's only one case left. Don't let me stop you.
Okay, there's one case left, the scapegoat. Okay. Report number 1813. 4 persons were arrested for theft, property damage and debauchery. 4 comprised of 3 women dressed in robes and animal masks and a priest. The suspects have been charged with stealing and slaughtering a goat in the forest ruins to the west of the cemetery. For this cruel act, they will be prosecuted accordingly. However, the victim has requested to specifically identify who stole his goat. The testimonies of all parties involved are attached to the case. Right, so let's head down there. We'll get to the scene and then read the rest of the case. So back after the cemetery, just to the west. We'll fast travel down here And we can run along this path to the forest ruins. Okay, we can't get in that way. Ah, here we go.
Hope you haven't had your lunch yet. This one's bad.
Alright, looks pretty bad. Looks like there's been some sacrifice up there. Okay. Okay, so we have Blackbird, Green Ox, and Red Lion, as well as the priest. Then the victim's testimony. Wooly was the best goat I've ever owned, very fertile. He'd charge at anything red, but otherwise he was as calm as a cat. I was inside when he was stolen. By the time I ran out, they were gone. But I saw that the thief was wearing a mask. I must know he did it. Please put Mr. Placido on to this. He busted my neighbour for running a gambling den with but a single look at his clothes. I'm sure he will solve this in a jiffy. Okay, so the priest didn't steal the goat because it was someone wearing a mask. So it must be one of these three women. The Green Ox's testimony. The woman in the Green Ox mask is limping. I couldn't steal the goat even if I wanted to. I sprained my ankle during the dance. It was the priest who brought us the goat. He may be all holier than thou now, but he clearly wanted to join our bacchanalia. Red Lion. The woman in the Red Lion mask has a large bruise on her side. I broke the amphora with very expensive wine because of that goat. He was probably rabid. Bird should have known better than to steal this crazy animal. So Bird stole the animal? I've had enough. This is the last time I take part in these rituals. I already have 3 lovers. That's more than enough. Blackbird's testimony. We gathered to perform a ritual which would make men desire us above all else. We were dancing when we noticed someone spying on us from the bushes. It was the priest. I ordered the others to get him drunk. No one must witness our ritual while sober, because it insults the god of rapture. Oh, about the goat, it was Lion's responsibility to bring it to the ruins. They're all blaming each other for bringing the goat. Green Ox says it was the priest. Red Lion says it was Bird. Bird says it was the lion's responsibility. Okay, well, let's take a look around, see if we can find some evidence.
The hoof prints end in deep furrows. The animal was resisting.
Okay.
What a waste.
Looks like blood. I think that's actually wine. Is that a wine jar that's smashed
What a
here?
waste.
Okay, number 3.
The rope is soaked with wine.
More wine here. John, do you have anything to say about this?
My gut tells me some dark magic happened here.
Perhaps.
Multiple bare footprints. I should examine them more closely. Multiple bare footprints. I should examine them more closely.
Okay, I need to pin that. Return stone.
Multiple bare footprints. I should examine them more closely.
I'm trying to. There we go. Palm
Someone
print.
stumbled on a stone and fell to the ground.
So this must be where they were dancing, and it was Green Ox who fell over, sprained her ankle. So that must be the location there. 5. Okay, got some beads.
The priest said that he came here to stop the ritual. Did you really, Father?
And he was found hiding behind the bushes. So, okay.
The goat was torn to pieces. Ugh. Savagery.
We can piece this together, can we? Let's have a quick look. Okay, blood-soaked altar with a goat, multiple bare footprints, a spot where someone stumbled and fell, prayer beads, a thick rope, distinct hoof prints, broken wine, amphora. Okay, we were dancing when we noticed someone spying on us from the bushes. It was the priest. I ordered the others to get him drunk. No one must witness our ritual or sober because it insults the god of rapture. Okay. He hid in the bushes. One of them stumbled. That was the green ox. I gasped when they noticed me. The one who fell tied me up. Okay, so the green ox tied him up. And the other in the lion's mask forced me to drink wine. Okay. I think we can piece this together. Okay, so someone was pulling the goat along, but everyone is blaming each other. It doesn't really make sense that it's the priest. I think Green Ox said it was the lion's responsibility. No, the bird. Blackbird said it was the lion's responsibility. But then Red Lion said that the bird shouldn't have stolen it. Let's go with the bird. Red Lion had the bruise on her side. So the goat got free. Hit Red Lion in the side. She smashed the wine. Now let's see. They were dancing over here. And the green ox fell. Okay, there's the green ox there. While the priest was hiding in the bushes. The Blackbird told the other two to drag him out. There we go. And it was the green ox who tied him up. Okay, hopefully this is right.
So, we have 3 lusty women engaged in a ritual. They're drinking and dancing when suddenly they hear a noise from the bushes. Their ritual seems to be working. There's a man they can get drunk already. While 2 of them are busy with the priest, the 3rd one leaves. She is the one who stole the goat and brought it to the ritual. The poor animal smells trouble and charges at the drunken woman with the amphora. Still, he couldn't break free and at the end was brutally torn apart and eaten alive.
Well, they attracted the attention of men. The police, at least.
Okay, so I think that's it. Let's head back to the police station. Let them know that we've solved the case. That one was a bit easier than the others.
Mr. Holmes, I have great news. Our recent accomplishments have earned me a promotion. Sergeant Stark. It has a nice ring to it, hasn't it?
Our accomplishments?
What do you mean, our accomplishments? Of all the nerve, I don't recall you doing very much. I solved all the cases.
Come, Mr. Holmes. I didn't mean to belittle your contribution. After all, legwork is just as important as paperwork.
And what about the brain work?
Also very important. Don't get me wrong, your assistance was most valuable. Anyway, I'll be moving back to the office space. My days at this blasted desk are almost over. I won't be scapegoated now.
Good for you, I suppose. Speaking of scapegoats, I've solved the last case on the board. The goat was stolen by the lady in the Blackbird mask. As if that makes any difference, judging by the atrocity I witnessed at the crime scene.
Yes, I heard about that one. The things women get up to these days. Ugh.
Well, I'm glad to have been of service. Now I have other matters to attend to.
Mr. Holmes, if I may be so bold as to make one last request. Do you remember that I told you that our chief inspector has been missing for a few months now? My current task is to establish his fate. I've tried to make sense of his last case, but it's a convoluted mess. I would really appreciate your help.
Fine, you have me intrigued.
Thank you awfully, Mr. Holmes.
So is it Chief Inspector Placido who has vanished? From what I've gathered, he was a good detective.
Ain't that the truth? He was solving cases like shelling peas. Without him, things have gone downhill. He was a crotchety sort, always grumbling, fussing, taking his snuff by the handful, but I, for one, miss the old boy.
Tell me everything you know.
I don't know much. Just that it's connected to a gang called the Hive. Placido has been after their leader, the Hive Master, for years. But otherwise, I can't make head nor tail of it. Here, take the key to Placido's office. You might find some leads in there.
Very well, I'll see what I can find out.
One thing is certain. It's a dangerous business. Be careful, Mr. Holmes.
Okay, so we've got one final case, the scapegoat. We need to find out what happened to Inspector Placido.